is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoy this video, you guys should...
Why is it's never Hunter and Calxiyn?
That doesn't sound very nice.
I think... do we have one more video to do after this one?
Sure.
Okay, so you will say Hunter and Calxiyn in the next one.
I'll try. I'll do
you
my
better.
best.
I will remind you beforehand. Continue.
Anyway, today we are going to talk about the Maidens because a lot of people notice that Ozpin's 4 daughters have similar clothes and stuff to the Maidens and things.
Although
and
none of them are quite as albino as the Winter Maiden. Maybe she just like put on like heavy fucking I don't know who like
makeup
journeys
powder.
in the wilderness putting like heavy foundation on, right? Looking like Marilyn goddamn Manson. But nonetheless.
People also noticed that the blue daughter is dressed like Jin for some reason. The blue daughter has the thing around her waist and like the chain things on her.
That's
on her
weird.
Dress. I don't know. I don't know why. Like,
I remember my
here's
mom
the thing: the relics happened before the children, so it doesn't make any sense that somehow the spirits would be based off of Ozpin's children, unless the gods could somehow foresee that and they included that. In the relics. Or maybe he got to design the spirits after they popped out and he made them remind them of his children. But anyway, we're going to focus on the Maidens.
He didn't create them. Ozpin did.
No, he didn't create the relics, but what if he got to like customize his own spirit when they all popped out?
Everyone gets a different one.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Ruby's was bodacious because Ruby's thirsty.
Wait, what?
Ruby's like
it
appears like the spirit appears different to everyone.
Yeah.
And so Ruby's is bodacious because Ruby's is thirsty. What would yours look like? Your genie? Probably just have like the Robin Williams variety. I never had a friend like me. Continue.
Anyway, can we focus on the Maidens, please? Okay. So, in terms of, like, the actual Maidens, though, I think that... Okay, so there are some different theories. So, one of the theories is that the girls didn't die. Ozpin sent them away. They maybe, like, don't exactly remember because they're young children. And they, like... I don't want to say they have amnesia because that's stupid, but they, like, sort of lose... You know, they're young, right? So they don't really exactly remember what happened. They just arrive somewhere, people take care of them, they grow up, they come across the hermit in the woods, and Ozpin is able to recognize them right away and gives them the magical ability that maybe they lost or didn't necessarily develop or never had, and then, you know, it keeps going. So that's one, is that the kids did not die, they got away.
Yeah, because maybe the curse is hereditary? Like you just said, the curse Ozpin has is hereditary, so just as their
No.
But it's not really their being.
I'm saying that they got away.
Okay.
I'm saying that the kids got away. They ended up in some random town. They grew up.
But they kind of did the Mulan. Like, you know how in Mulan where they see the doll and it's implied you see their doll, so it's implied.
So that's where your reincarnation thing comes in. So a lot of people think that the girl souls reincarnated into 4 random girls. Yes. And after Ozpin happened upon them, he was able to recognize that and enhance their magic or give them magic or whatever.
I thought it was maybe that like so they kind of have the cursed genes, but it's sort of watered down because of So
after they die, they just went into other people.
No, their magic power is instilled in other people. Because it wasn't pure Ozpin
It's like vague reincarnation.
Because like the Salem genes got mixed up in there.
Because the Maidens can't hear each other talking, so it's not exactly like Ozpin. But I was kind of thinking what you're saying, that they're sort of just, their essence or their aura, their soul is transferring, but they can't communicate, and their powers just sort of go to random girls. And so maybe it's that then they see Ozpin and Ozpin gives them magic they already had, they just didn't know how
But then again, we see now that like the story of the 2 brothers wasn't totally accurate. The story of the Maidens was, or the story of the beginning, like the man born from dust, wasn't entirely the whole story.
Yeah.
So we may also be like, oh, and by the way, the Maidens.
So the first one is that the kids got away. The second one is that part of them reincarnated into a group of girls. They happen upon Ozpin, just sort of like how Ozpin happened upon Salem. Ozpin recognizes them and he like gives or enhances their power so they can actually maybe use it. The third theory is pretty much the one that I like the best, I guess, and it's that it has nothing to do with his daughters. So let me explain. So
you're doing the me version where I'm just like, here's the boring way.
No, this isn't the boring one. Okay. So my idea is that Ozpin is a cold, bitter old man when he goes into the hermit one.
Because his children
die.
Him drinking in the
Well, that's like, I mean, Before that, though, it says, like, in the Maiden story that, like, a cruel and bitter old man lived alone in the forest. And you get why he lives alone now. He's, like, lamenting his death and his past and all of that. You know what I mean? And so this old man is, like, stuck inside the forest. It's obviously Ozpin, right? And he's lamenting, he's grieving over, you know, his daughters and his wife and whatever else, right? And so when the 4 maidens come to see him, it reminds him of how his daughters could have been if they were alive, because they have the same color scheme. They're 4 young girls around the same, or I guess grown up, but in relation to each other,
and
like the siblings around the same age.
It's that if your squad isn't color coordinated, your squad ain't shit.
So, what I'm saying is that these girls have nothing to do with the daughters directly. It's not reincarnation or any of that. It's 4 different girls that came to see him and reminded him. It brought him joy. It reminded him what it was like to have his children around. Because remember, they bring joy back to him. That's the whole thing. That's why he rewards them. So, they bring joy back to him. Yes. They, you know, they remind him of his daughters. And so, hey, like in his head, my daughters had these magical powers and they never got to live out their full life because I cut it short. So you get the power and you can have the life that they never got to have.
And it's also like the same plans he had for his daughters, that his daughters were going to go out and do greatness in the world.
Yeah.
The same way that the maidens would go out and do greatness in the world.
And so that's why it has to be like young women that get the powers. And remember, not the caveat, but the trick is that it usually goes into somebody who is in your last thoughts, the person, and that's usually somebody that you love. And I think that's a reference to in Ozpin's, maybe his final thoughts. He was thinking of the fact that he had basically killed his kids with Salem.
Yeah, because if it turns out that the kids are alive, that really ruins the gut punch
of the kids being dead.
Where you see that little horse and you're like, oh, Salem and Ozpin fucking killed their
and
children.
Even if they even if their powers just reincarnate into the world, I feel like that also doesn't have as much impact as these 4 women that are entirely separate reminded me of my daughters, reminded me what it was like to feel joy and happiness just like when I had them, so I'm gonna give them the magic that they used to have. I feel like that's
time there was light in my life.
I feel like that's
that's
so much better, and that's like a bigger gut punch, if that makes sense, because you're like, oh, like the maidens, like, no, his daughters are dead. It's that because his daughters were dead, that's why he did this. Right? Like, I feel like that's just such a more impactful thing, because I appreciate people's ideas of, oh, maybe the daughters are alive, or oh, maybe they reincarnated just like Ozpin, just not to max capacity or whatever.
Just playing with random crap that in your office.
But, you know what I mean? Like, yes. I feel like this is a much better idea.
Yes.
Just
and
because
it also doesn't, like, destroy, because when you the story of the Grimm, the story of the brothers and the story of, like, the dust and humanity, those weren't destroyed, but, like, significant information was kept away from us.
Yeah.
And so it's similar with this. It's like, now we realize, like, oh, that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
And they might never actually say it, but what you're supposed to do with any art is observe it and think through it.
Because,
and through doing
remember,
that,
he gave them the power, and so I feel like that them having, like, reincarnated, or it being the maidens referring to his daughters, like, none of that makes sense in the timeline. And so, the reincarnation, maybe, like, there's some sort of dormant power in them that Ozpin wakes up because it was the power from it, whatever, right? I don't like that. This is what I like. And, like, this being, like, 4 random girls brought light back into his life, reminded him of what it was like to have his children, so he gave them the magic that his children could never use to do good in the world. And that's why maybe Ozpin is so ticked off or so upset when maiden powers get into the hands of people like Cinder, because it reminds them, like, hey, this is how my daughters could have been maybe if they had stayed with Salem, or if me and Salem had stayed together and I let her, like, do her genocide plans or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in his head, it's like, no, like, Cinder and people that sort of not take the maiden power. I guess she took the maiden powers.
Tinder profile would have looked like.
What do you mean?
Like, what are, like, I don't know, 6'1", 10,000 years old.
You mean Salem?
Yeah, Salem, sorry, did I say Cinder?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6'1", 10,000 years old, genocide, loves babies.
Looks vaguely like Ozpin. Like,
I'm looking for literally anyone. I guess he could look like anyone, so might as well.
Yikes. That's a big oof, Hunter. But yeah, so that's what I like about this, my last theory is that it's more impactful, it's more tragic. It gives more of a gut punch, and it has nothing to do with reincarnation or retconning the wizard story or any other weird bullshit. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon. And
I especially like that this theory, like, you can go back and then look at the Maidens, and it doesn't change it, but it also, like, you now have, like, a richer understanding of what that old man
added was. Context.
It was added context, and it makes it a better experience.
Mm-hmm. Instead of, like, fully destroying the story, yes. Right?
Yeah, which, man, RWBY can take an axe to certain things, but I'm glad it didn't quite take an axe to that.
Yeah, I agree. So I will see you guys later. Bye, guys. Thank you to our wonderful patrons over on Patreon for supporting the channel. Patrons get a bunch of different cool rewards ranging from access to VIP chats or getting video tickets, which can basically be used to request us to do videos, for example. We can advance early access or access to our Discord server. All of those are rewards that our patrons can get, and it's pretty cool. I do recommend it if you guys want to support the channel. We have so much fun talking on our Discord server about whatever it may be, whether that's RWBY or Kingdom Hearts or Miraculous Ladybug, right? And the early access helps you guys obviously get to see our videos before anybody else does, and so that's also pretty cool. The VIP chat is pretty exclusive. I can reply like a bit faster there. It's a bit more one-on-one. So if you guys are interested in any of those, I do suggest that you guys become patrons over on Patreon. The link is in the description, and thank you again for all of our patrons for helping us out. We'll see you guys later. Bye.